Hello, this is Rapid Regeneration with me, David Escamilla. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical professional, I'm not making claims about diseases or medical claims. I am somebody on the natural end of the spectrum. I've just found natural methods that are self-healing methods that promote the body to detox itself and clean itself out and regenerate itself. That's what I did. I healed from very serious health problems that were devastating, and I lost hope that I could ever solve the problems. I can't believe actually that today I'm happy and healthy. I kind of have to pinch myself because at the time it was looking so bleak. I figured out all these different methods, and now I'm so grateful for that I am on a mission to help you, whether you're struggling right now. If you are, my heart goes out to you. I've been there. I know how tough it is with health issues. Or if you're trying to go to the next level in terms of your performance, your energy, your spirituality, because I've done that as well, which is the fun part after you get yourself healthy and well. So this segment is about B vitamins. As we go through different areas of supplementation, this is one of them. Now, if you know me, if you've watched the other segment about vitamins and minerals in general, then you know that my philosophy is, I would prefer really not to take isolated supplements that are not part of a whole food. That's my preference. That's my romantic notion in an ideal world. So any form of supplementation that's not basically herbal or botanical is sort of a departure from that. And so, but you also, I'm sure you understand by now that I'm not a total purist. I'm not puritanical when it comes to using certain vitamins and certain minerals. So I would really prefer not to use them. I'm not like taking all the different vitamins all the time, but what I'm looking at is what are the compounds that are the most likely to be lacking in the foods, and that could cause the most significant problem in the body, and that the body could be helped the most significant amount if you did add more of them in. And as I've researched that issue, at the very top of that list are B vitamins. And so I have to tell you about this. When I was getting into natural healing, I was resistant to vitamins. It was one of those areas, and I thought, you know what, I want to be all natural. I don't want to take isolated, ingredients. What I should have done was I should have at least learned about it. That's what I didn't do. I got this idea in my head that was more romantic and I don't want to say naive, but it was just idealistic that I didn't, that I would just get vitamins from foods. But I should have learned the other, at least the other point of view about it, which is, so many of these vitamins are completely missing, they're at very low levels. The levels have dropped off a cliff in the last century in the foods. And then the other thing is that for someone who's plant-based, you might especially consider certain B vitamins because, there's pros and cons, you could say, of doing plant-based versus eating animals and animal products. But one thing that people who eat animal products have an advantage of is they do get certain nutrients more of from eating animals, and one of those is B vitamins. And so I should have at least learned about it. It took me a long time, but I'm hopefully making your journey easier than mine was. Also, in terms of being natural, in terms of supplements, there's a spectrum of natural inputs into the body. So I would view B vitamins as about as natural as an isolated supplement can get, because what happens is you put these B vitamins in the body, the body uses them for methylation, uses them for as cofactors, uses them for so many different processes, and then it creates all kinds of different other things. ATP, it'll produce NAD, involved in so many processes of the body. So it's a precursor to many of these other things. So a lot of people will supplement with something that your body makes, like NAD, for example, or there's many other examples. And that I would view as more unnatural, because you're putting something in the body that your body makes. You can't really get it from nature. But by putting B vitamins in the body, in certain cases, certain ones, if that gives your body more raw materials to make those compounds that it makes on its own. So you're giving it more, but the raw materials could actually be found in nature. So you could actually source a lot of B vitamins from nature. So it's almost like signaling to your body, hey, I'm eating things naturally that from nature, now make some stuff with it, as opposed to I'm going to put NAD in the body, which you can't find in nature, you can't consume. So that's a separate issue that's covered extensively in the supplement segment about supplementing in general. But just understand, that's the spectrum. There's the spectrum of more natural versus less natural. I would put B vitamins on the more natural spectrum. And I just like to feel good. I really do. I like to feel good. And if something is, not harmful, there's risk with everything. If you supplement with B vitamins, there's a small risk. But if you don't supplement, there's also risks. So I'm a sucker if something makes me feel good. So I've had success with them since I've added them into my lifestyle. And I really like it. So I have to share this information with you. And basically, why do we need to take extra supplements for B vitamins? Again, going back to the food quality, lacking. Also, you could make a case that our modern environment really demands a different set of demands than our natural ancestors have. I mean, we live in a world of constant pressure, constant stress, constant stimulation. And so B vitamins are often related to metabolic functions, metabolism, methylation, energy-related processes. And so it's certainly possible that there may be a greater demand on our body for more assistance in these areas because of all this modern stimulation and pressure that we're under. Okay, so there's 8 B vitamins, and basically just for simplicity's sake, I'm going to categorize them in 3 different groups. So the first one is vitamin B12, the second one is vitamin B9, aka folate, and the third group is other B vitamins. And basically, I'm just going to let you know all the knowledge that I've learned over time and the nuances to these, if and when to supplement, and so forth. So I hope that you find this helpful. So first, vitamin B12. So this is one of the most important, it seems like, not only B vitamins, but vitamins in general, to consider supplementing with. It's absolutely essential. I mean, it can cause serious issues if you don't have enough B12 in the body. The other thing is that it's reported to be very helpful across the board for people who take it, and there seems to be little to no risk associated with taking additional supplements. So, again, going back to all the plant-based people that are out there, like myself. So B12 is contained in animal tissues. So you're getting extra B12 if you're eating animal products. If you don't do that, B12 is created by basically probiotic bacteria in the body, given the mineral cobalamin, and they basically create B12 with that methylcobalamin in a process involving the beneficial bacteria in the body. So that would be the other source. Now, there's some debate about whether the body can actually absorb the methylcobalamin because it's created in the large intestine by the probiotics. And so there's some theories that, well, it needs to be absorbed further up the digestive tract. So, it does seem feasible to me that it still can get absorbed because the large intestine still has a porous lining and still can absorb nutrients. So there seems to be some debate on that, whether or not, you can really absorb the B12 that's created in the body. And therefore, it's considered conventional wisdom that if someone who's plant-based, they're automatically at risk of having low levels of B12. Now, personally, I got testing done, both the blood test and the UMMA urine test. And this was after years of being plant-based, a very long time since I had taken any B12. And my levels were normal. Came back normal. So, but I would consider my gut microbiome at the time was very healthy. I mean, a lot of beneficial probiotics. So that would back up the theory that you can absorb your own B12, get high on your own supply, so to speak. But it is worth acknowledging if you're eating animal products, then you get extra consumption of B12. So you're probably lower risk of not having enough B12 if you are eating animal products. So if you're plant-based, this may be especially important to consider. Now, this brings up another point, which is about testing, and you can get tested as well. But both tests, the blood serum test and the urine test for UMMA, are considered not totally reliable tests. Out of those two, the UMMA test is considered more reliable. But there's a number of cases reported where someone had a good UMMA test showing that their levels were good, but they still responded very positively to additional B12 supplementation. This is what happened with me. And so just because you get your test back and it shows you that your levels are good, it doesn't mean that you should not take B12 supplements. And so ultimately, the UMMA test is the better test. Take it with a grain of salt. It's still worth taking, I would say. But there's a little bit of nuance. It's not totally black and white. You can find that test at rapidregeneration.com/B12 test. But yeah, B12 is super important. It supports the nervous system, nerve tissue, circulatory function, heart health, immune health, DNA synthesis, brain cells, red blood cells, bone health, vision and eye health, healthy mood balance, energy creation, healthy skin, hair, and nails. So you definitely want to make sure you have enough of B12. And if you don't, some problems may include, with not having enough B12, exhaustion, low energy, headaches, anemia, irritability, degeneration of the spine, cognitive impairment, intestinal gut issues, fertility issues, immune system weakness, muscle weakness, aches and pains in connective tissues. So definitely figure this one out. It could potentially add years to your life or increase your quality of life, if you solve a major deficit in this area. Now, when you supplement with B12, you would want to take methylcobalamin, would be the best one, followed by hydroxycobalamin and adenosylcobalamin. Those three. You want to avoid taking cyanocobalamin. This is like the most common form of B12 that's in a lot of supplement products and energy drinks. Cyanocobalamin is completely synthetic. It's derived from cyanide, so avoid that one at all costs. I personally like under the tongue, liquid form of B12. The theory is that the B12 can be deposited in the bloodstream when you take it under the tongue. Some people like tablets, under the tongue tablets. I haven't found a good source of those that doesn't have any toxic fillers. And then other people find they respond best to an injection in the blood of B12. Personally, I get a little freaked out with injections, but some people just don't seem to respond well to supplementing orally. So, I understand. Okay, lastly, about B12, it can also assist greatly if you have a certain genetic mutation. Now, there's another segment dedicated to gene testing and DNA testing, and based on certain genetic mutations, B vitamins can target specific mutations to help to cover that dysfunction. And so specifically, if you have so refer to that segment about understanding the DNA test and the 5 genes that you can test for and different things you could do. But specifically, if you get results back and you have the MTR or MTRR genetic mutation, and the enzyme activity is low in those genes, then B12 is a critical part of the functioning involving those methylation processes. So B12 could be a great benefit if you're having those issues. And it could also be one reason why some individuals display a greater need for B12 than others, or require a higher dosage than others, because maybe they have that gene break. So definitely would recommend testing your urine for MMA. Take those results with a grain of salt, but it's helpful to have. And also testing your saliva for your DNA. And there seems to be very little to no downside supplementing with B12. So maybe just give it a try and see how you feel. Okay. Next up is vitamin B9, which is folate. So it's an essential nutrient. It is so essential. It helps create DNA, RNA, helps manage inflammation. It's lacking in the foods. So many foods are lacking in it. In fact, the U.S. government in the 90s viewed this as a problem and started adding folic acid to all the grain supply, the processed grains. And so that's basically a synthetic form of folate, which is synthetic and toxic. And so, they tried to solve a problem, but really created another problem. And that's why you see grain products that are fortified or enriched. Well, that means they've had folic acid added to them, because the government's trying to, solve this problem supposedly of the food not having enough folate. Now, an abundance of folate in the body can help with increased oxygenation, red blood cell production, lowering of inflammation, mood management, cognitive function, reproductive health, healthy fetal development, and eye health. And if you don't have enough folate, this can cause exhaustion, low energy, brain fog, skin issues, hair loss, hair thinning, intestinal issues, increased blood pressure, and inflammation. So here's the other issue with folate is, and this is why I wanted to put it in its own category, half of the world's population has another gene mutation, which has suppressed enzyme activity in this gene, which is the MTHFR gene. Now, almost half of everyone has this. This gene basically breaks down folate into methylfolate. Methylfolate is what the body actually uses, to create different processes related to energy, digestion, mood, cognition. So a lot of people, they're not breaking down folate into methylfolate. Either that's partially impaired or almost completely impaired, depending on whether you have it from one or both parents. So again, check out the DNA testing segment more on that. It can also help inform you. Let's say if you don't have any mutation there, maybe you just take additional folate. For example, you can take the green powder, which has a ton of folate. If you have that break, then you might consider supplementing with methylfolate and not folate to assist this dysfunction. And again, refer to that other segment, but also you can find that test at rapidregeneration.com/DNA test. Okay, lastly, other B vitamins. So, the family of B vitamins, there's so many different ones, and they all help with basically cellular energy, the methylation cycle, the body functioning properly. They all have different roles, metabolism, and these levels of these nutrients are just declining in the food, and it's up to us to figure out a creative solution. So you have all these different ones. I don't want to completely bore you, but basically you have B1, which is thiamine, B2 riboflavin, B3 niacin, B5 pantothenic acid, B6 pyridoxine, B7 biotin, and those are the other B vitamins. And so, again, I'm not going to completely bore you with all of the basically characteristics of each one. They're all somewhat similar, but they also have their unique qualities, things that they help with, things that they benefit with the body. A lot of it has to do, of course, with mood and energy and nervous system and, managing inflammation levels and, digestive support and heart, circulatory system, support of the liver, hormone balance, immune system, and then if you don't have enough, a lot of times that's associated with, brain fog, cognitive decline, intestinal issues, headaches, hormone balance issues, skin problems, sleep issues, digestive problems, exhaustion, irritability. Yeah, not good. So, and if you go to rapidregeneration.com and if you search in the search bar the B vitamins, you can see I've listed out more information about each one, because they do have different roles. But those are the other B vitamins, which is basically another 6 B vitamins. And so lastly, I just want to share kind of the approach about supplementing with these different ones. So the first two categories are more straightforward. We talked about that. You can test for your B12 levels, and even if you have good levels, you could still consider supplementing with B12. And if you're plant-based, you might especially consider supplementing, or if you have those two gene breaks. And so the MTR, the MTRR. Okay, vitamin B9, which is folate. Again, this is a great one to supplement with, but also, you have to consider if you have that MTHFR gene break, if your body is able to convert folate into methylfolate. If not, you might consider supplementing with methylfolate. Otherwise, you might just take folate in the form of the green powder, but you should avoid folic acid. Honestly, this is just, again, this is the bad side of supplementation. You're putting something synthetic and toxic in the body that creates an obstruction, lack of ease, and the body has to then deal with this problem of getting it out of the body. Okay, then you have the other suite of B vitamins. Now, especially B1, B2, B3, B5, and B6, basically all the ones except for B7, are really helpful towards genetic function as well. So, again, refer to the gene testing segment, but those ones also have to do with MTR MTHFR, ACHY, and COMT genes. And so if you have mutations present in any of these genes where the enzyme activity is repressed, then you may benefit significantly from taking basically the suite of B vitamins, these other B vitamins. With that said, even somebody without the gene mutations could still consider supplementing with these other B vitamins as well. There's other scenarios that someone could especially be helped with this, like for example, if you're doing iodine supplementation, a lot of times additional B2 and B3 can help with basically all of the iodine and the supplements working synergistically together, and to support cell energy function. So, there's other scenarios as well. It is critical to mention as well that the best way to get these B vitamins is not in a supplement, it's as part of a whole food. That's why I do like the organic barley grass juice powder, this special product that's produced in a very special way, the green powder, and that actually contains a lot of B9 and B1. It contains smaller amounts of B2, B3, B6, and B12. It does not appear to contain any B5 or B7, but that's a great source. You can find that at rapidregeneration.com/green powder. And when a supplement is part of a food, it's always going to be more absorbable, more available, assimilated better in the body. And so, yeah, if you're taking an isolated supplement, even if it doesn't have any harmful fillers in it, it's not going to be as beneficial to the body. You may have to have a higher dose. Some of it might just get processed out in the urine. And so basically, it's not as good, but sometimes that's the best option that you have is to supplement. And if you don't want to supplement, that's fine. That's your personal choice. There's some risk involved. You could create some imbalance in the body. It's not everyone's cup of tea. But again, I view that there's risk, and in my view, more risk involved with not having enough of these supplements and of these vitamins in the body. So it's kind of, there's nuance on both sides of it. Especially in the modern world with toxic overloads in the environment, constant oxidative stress, and the food quality. So now some B vitamins, lastly, I'm just going to mention this because I want everyone, as you figure out what to do, you should be safe, very safe and cautious in how you approach this. If you need medical advice, talk to a medical person, a professional. If you need nutrition advice, talk to a professional nutritionist. I'm just sharing my experience. I'm not a doctor or a nutritionist. But basically, you have some B vitamins that have problems if you take too much. Others just get excreted out, no problem. So B12, very unlikely to have any issues if you take too much. There seems to be remote risks if you take 10,000 milligrams per day or higher. Vitamin B9, methylfolate, really depends on the individual, but can be problematic at 5 to 15 milligrams or higher. Some people report taking that much with no issue. Vitamin B3, niacin, has been shown to be toxic at 1,000 milligrams per day or more. B6, pyridoxine, has been shown to be toxic at 500 milligrams per day or more. Vitamin B5, pantothenic acid, has been shown to be safe, but even at high doses, but 10,000 milligrams or more can cause gut discomfort. Lastly, B1, thiamine, B2, riboflavin, and B7, biotin do not have an observed toxic level. However, excessive biotin can interfere with blood results in a lab test. So, again, this information is supposed to be a very helpful resource for you, but at some point you have to take the ball and run with this. So I can let you know my experience with supplementation amounts, dosage amounts, ranges, But ultimately, you're going to have to figure some of this out too. I can't just sit here and just guess what dosage you should take without knowing anything about you. And so, basically, every person is different. Some people may respond differently. A lot of different factors going on. Someone might do well on a daily regimen. Someone else might do well a couple times per week or once per week taking a supplement. And same thing with amounts. There's a range of amounts. And so what you could try is you could start out at a lower amount and work your way up. And the other thing is, make sure to consume a lot of the green powder, because that can cover kind of a multitude of sins, redeem them, because it has a lot of these in there in the green powder. So I am going to list out the different ones. Lastly, but if you don't want to fool around with taking the individual B vitamins, supplementing them all separately, or choosing which ones to do, you can take a B complex. It contains all the B vitamins. You can find that at rapidregeneration.com/B complex. Even if you take that, I would still consider taking some B12 in addition, and or methylfolate, B9, depending on your genetics, or even additional other specific B vitamins. But if you want to do individually, again, we talked about B12, methylcobalamin, hydroxycobalamin, or adenosylcobalamin at approximately 1,000 to 5,000 milligrams per day. You can find that at rapidregeneration.com/B12. Then you have B9, which is folate. Consider supplementing in the form of methylfolate. Avoid ever taking folic acid, and approximately 1 milligram to 10 milligrams per day. Now that's a big range. Most individuals report doing well around 1 milligram per day. There are some individuals, though, that have had much better results with around 4 milligrams per day, or working out to a higher amount. Some people even have done up to 10 milligrams a day. Just be careful, be cautious, and start with a lower amount. And again, don't take this as nutritional advice or medical advice. You want to consult with a professional. You can find that at rapidregeneration.com/B9. Okay, then you have vitamin B2, riboflavin, approximately 15 to 400 milligrams, 1 to 7 times per week. That's at rapidregeneration.com/B2. Vitamin B3, niacin, 110 to 375 milligrams, 1 to 7 times per week. That's at /B3. Vitamin B1, which is thiamine, 100 to 200 milligrams, 1 to 7 times per week. /B1. B6, pyridoxine, 50 to 200 milligrams, 1 to 7 times per week. /B6. B5, pantothenic acid, 100 to 500 milligrams, 1 to 7 times per week. And that's at /B5. B7, biotin, 150 micrograms to 8,000 micrograms, 1 to 7 times per week at /B7. Remember the B12 urine test, rapidregeneration.com/B12 test, and the DNA test, /DNA test. And don't forget about the green powder at /green powder. So I hope this was not too overwhelming, too early on in the program, but I would be derelict in my duty if I did not mention the B vitamins, how they work. Make sure to refer to the other segment about vitamins and minerals supplementing in general, and also the DNA genetic testing segment regarding that as well. So this is certainly, it's one of the top vitamins where there's the highest risk, in my view, that someone could not have enough in today's modern world, and very little risk of supplementation in my view. Not totally natural, but pretty good on the natural spectrum of supplements. And so it's definitely high on the list. It's high priority. If someone is really serious about your health, about really getting after it, then I would not ignore this issue, because I did. And you know what? I wish I hadn't. I wish earlier on I had evolved in my understanding. And so I hope this is helpful for you. I'm here to help you. It's my mission. And so that's the whole point of rapidregeneration.com. And I wish you good luck. That's all for now. I'll see you on the next segment.
For more information, please follow at Rapid Regeneration or visit rapidregeneration.com.